Hi beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be making a palazzo pant, the one you're seeing on your screen right now. It's very easy and simple to make, very quick. Okay, so to start with, I will mark out a starting line. So because I'm going to be using this pattern for both front and back, so I would mark down 4 inches for my starting line. So if you're doing your pattern differently, just mark out 1 or 2 inches for your starting line. But because I'm going to still mark my back pattern on this same paper, so I'll come down by 4 inches to make my starting line. So for these pants, you can do it directly on your fabric. You can do it separately directly on your fabric, but the fabric I'm using has different multicolored patterns. We won't be able to see it if I do it directly on the fabric. So if you've seen my pants video, my short knicker video, it will help you to understand my method better. So if you've not seen it, kindly go and see it. So for this palazzo pants, you will be needing your waist measurement, you'll be needing your thigh measurement, crotch depth, trouser length, and ankle measurement, the circumference of your ankle. Okay, so if you don't know how to measure your crotch depth or how to get it, just get your client to sit down on a flat surface from the waist where they keep their trouser down to the bottom of that surface. The illustration is on your screen. So that's how to get, that's the perfect way to get your crotch depth. With that, you won't be having issues with crotch depth. I know there are formulas that you can use, but the perfect way, the one I use, is sitting on the flat surface. Okay, so having done that, assuming you're working on your fabric directly, how to know the what to put on fold, how to know the fabric that you're going to put on fold is your thigh measurement plus 2 divided by 2. So if your thigh is 10, you add 2 inches to it, making it 12 divided by 2 will give you 6. That's assume, we are just assuming. So for you to put your fabric on fold, the measurement you need to put your fabric on fold, you will need thigh measurement plus 2 divided by 2. Okay, but since we are working with pattern, this is how we're going to do it. So after ruling out my starting line, I'm going to rule out 1 inch on this edge, 1 inch on this edge. Okay, this is a very simple method. It's not compulsory to take it down, it's not necessary to take it down. So after ruling 1 inch, I'm going to insert my crotch depth. My crotch depth for this person is 13 inches. So I'm going to insert my crotch depth and mark it out. So after marking out your crotch depth, you put your waist measurement. So you need your waist measurement divided by 4. Divide your waist measurement by 4. Then you add 2 inches. Sewing it's not sewing allowance now, 2 inches allowance. Now let me tell you what the allowance is for. If you're making it as normally palazzo don't have that. So if assuming you're making it for some palazzo that will have that, then the 2 inches, one is for ease, then one is for your that allowance. But since I'm going to be making use of elastic band, so the 2 inches is for my elastic band. This will make the palazzo not to be too bogus around the hip area. We want it very free down, but not around the hip area. So your waist, my waist is 40 divided by 4 will give me 10 plus 2, that will give me 12. And this is because I will be needing elastic allowance. Okay, so now watch where I'm going to start imputing my measurement from this 1 inch, not at the edge of the paper. So from this 1 inch line, that is where I'll impute my waist measurement. So if you have a very big hips and the 2 inches might be too tight for you for your bum to pass through, you can increase it to +3 or +4 depending on how big your hips is. But I'm hip 51 and I still maintain the 2 inches. I like my pants, trouser, anything to be fitted around the upper area. That I'm using elastic doesn't necessarily mean that it will be bogus. Okay, so it will help it to look smart. So if you have a big hips and you find it difficult for your thighs to pass in through, just add your waist divided by 4 plus 3 or 4 inches instead of the normal 2 I add. So from our calculation, I have 12 inches. So this is 12 inches on this 1 inch line, 12 inches. So I'll bring it down on the crotch depth line, 12 inches, to have a straight line. This is 12 inches. So I will connect with a straight line. So for the thigh, you're imputing your thigh measurement on this crotch line. So for your thigh, you divide your thigh by 2. So my thigh here is 30 divided by 2 will give me 15. Now this is the reason for the 1 inch. So instead of putting your thigh measurement from the place we put the waist measurement from, you're imputing it at the edge of your paper after your 1 inch. Okay, so I'll impute 15. This is 15. Okay, so to get your crotch curve, so the difference between here, this line is for the waistline. The difference between this waistline and your thigh line, you divide it by 4. So you measure it out and divide by 4. So I have 2 inches here. So 2 inches divided by 4 is ½ inch, but I'm going to be making use of 1 inch. So from this place, draw out a line with angle 45 degrees. So straight line, and I'll mark out 1 inch. Okay, this upper part is basically what I did for the last trouser or the last pants class I made. Okay, if you've not seen that class, you're missing. That will be the only class you need for trouser, pants, short knicker. Okay, the testimony, sorry, this is my 1 inch. The testimony I'm getting from that class is massive. Okay, so just try to see that video. So you can either use the two. Just don't allow this line, this place, to be more than 1.5. You can do 1 inch, you can do 0.75, you can do 1.5, but let it not be more than 1.5. Okay, like you're saying now, this part entered 1.5. okay, so this 1 inch, this 1.5. anyone can serve. It will make the crotch area to be very flat. Okay, so we've gotten this part. Is now to mark down our length. So the length of this trouser is 44. Okay, so from my waist down to 44. Remember my crotch depth is 13 inches, so this is 13, so I'll mark down to 44, the length of the palazzo. So because her waist to ankle length is 44, since the palazzo is touching the floor, I'm going to be adding extra 4 inches. That will make it 48. Okay, so I'll mark 48. I want it to really touch the floor, so I'm marking 48. So for this palazzo, you don't need the new measurements, you don't need all that, because it's straight, it's a free pant. Okay, so to get the middle point, the center of your trouser, you have to measure from this point the crotch line or the tie line divided by 2. Okay, so what do we have here? We have 15 divided by 2 will give us 7.5. So we'll mark down 7.5 to get a straight line at the middle. I know I said we don't need the new line and all that, but we need it to balance the hem of our trouser. So you see that the hem is very, very free. So we need it to balance the hem of our trouser. So for the ankle measurement, we have 14 inches. The reason why I'm inserting the ankle measurement is so that I will know how wide I'm going to open this bottom of this trouser. Okay, so the ankle measurement we have is 14. 14 divided by 2 will give us 7. Okay, so I'll impute 7 here and 7 the other side. So I'll impute 7 this side and 7 this other side, so that it will be balanced. Okay, so this is the normal ankle length. So because this palazzo is very, very free, how wide you're going to open it totally depends on you. So I'm going to be opening it up by 4 inches extra. 4 inches extra. Now my paper is not enough. I'll cut out paper to fix in here. I fixed in my paper, so I'm going to still increase it. The stem 4 inches I did here, I will increase it by 4 inches here. Okay, 4 inches here. So I'm going to connect these 4 inches straight to this point, this tie line, straight. These 4 inches, I'm going to connect it straight to this tie line, and the other 4 inches there, I'm going to connect it straight to this point. Okay, so I'll use my longer ruler to do that. So I'll connect from these 4 inches here straight to this my tie line here. There are palazzos that you just connect from whatever you have at the tie line, you just connect it straight down. But you can see that the bottom of this palazzo is in form of a bell shape. Okay, so if this is too wide, depending on the fabric you have, if this is too wide, you can reduce it. You can add 2 inches, or you can do 3 inches instead of 4 inches. Okay, so it totally depends on you. Now the down part of our palazzo is ready. Let's move over to the upper part. So for this upper part, you're going to connect from this crotch depth line to your waistline with a slight curve, very slight curve. Okay, so this is it. This is our palazzo pants. So for the back now, I'll use another color. So the difference between the front and the back, I'll be using this black pen for the back. The difference between the front and the back now is that you raise the back crotch depth by 1 inch, 1.5 inch to 2 inches. Okay, it depends on how big the person is. If it's medium size, 1 inch, small size 1 inch, medium 1.5, and if it's a big person, 2 inches. So you raise it up by, so I'm raising this one up by 1.5, and I'll connect it back to this waist here. Okay, because the side seams are meant to match up. So this is for the back. Then out here you come out by 1.5 inches for the back. Come out by 1.5 inches and connect it back to this waist. Back to the crotch depth line. Okay, 1.5 inches. Then for the crotch extension, you're going to come out 3 inches, it ranges between 2 inches to 4 inches. So it depends if you look at your clients and know how big they are. You know, palazzo is meant to be free, so I'm going to do 3 inches for this person. You come out by 3 inches and connect it back. Okay. So this is the crotch for the back pattern. Okay, so for the seam allowances, remember I didn't add seam allowances to the front, so all seam allowances will go to the back. So anything you gave here, you do it down. Okay, so I gave 3 inches, so I'm going to use 3 inches down. 3 inches, 3 inches. So this is what we have. So this is our palazzo. The black marker is for the back and the red marker is for the front. Okay, so in here for the elastic band allowance, I'm going to be adding 2.5 inches. That is why I left here, so that I can add my elastic allowance. So I'm adding 2.5 inches. 2.5 inches. I'm going to put the 2.5 inches red marker for the front. I hope you're not confused. You can actually do this separately. You can actually do it separately, but I'm trying to minimize my fabric, my paper. So this is the band, elastic casing. This is for elastic casing for the front. The red marker indicates the one for the front, while the black marker indicates the one for the back. And this is our palazzo trouser. So I'm going to cut the back first. After cutting the back, I'll transfer it to my fabric, then I'll cut the front. So if you did not add your seam allowance when you were taking down the trouser length, please add your seam allowance. But the 48 I measured is both seam allowance, okay? So both seam allowance. So guys, this is what we have, okay? Can we see it? So for this bottom, if it's too wide for you, you can still reduce it, okay? If it's too wide, you can still reduce it. So it totally depends on the fabric you have. So I'll go now to transfer this back pattern to my fabric. Then I will cut out the front and transfer it to my fabric, and I will get back to us. If you want to transfer it to your fabric, transfer the back first, the black marker first. Then after transferring to your fabric, you then cut out the red marker and transfer to your fabric. So guys, when transferring this to your fabric, please add sewing allowance at the crotch area, okay? Add half-inch sewing allowance. If you sew with half-inch, add half-inch sewing allowance. If you're the type that sew with quarter-inch, add quarter-inch sewing allowance. This is the crotch area, so add your sewing allowance, okay? So I'll go and transfer it now. After transferring the back, I'll cut the front, the red marker, okay? I'll cut the front. So guys, I've finished cutting out my pattern. So to sew this, I'll go ahead to join the crotch for the front. This is the front pattern. So I'll join my crotch like this with my half-inch sewing allowance that I told us to give. Then I'll do the same for the back, and I'll show us what next to do. So guys, after joining the crotch, I serged it, okay, with my interlocking machine. Then this is now time to join the inseam. The inseam that is under the crotch. So you bring your front pattern, your front fabric, and the back. Make sure that the two crotch are matching. So you use pin to secure it like this. Make sure it is matching. Make sure it is matching, okay? So secure it like this. From this middle point, sew straight down to this leg. Then from this side again, sew straight down to this point. So just pin the middle, make sure they are matching, and you sew from the middle down to the both legs using half-inch sewing allowance, okay? So after that, I'll show us what next to do. So guys, after sewing the inseam, I went ahead to serge it again. Then the next thing to do is to hem the bottom. So I'm going to open it up like this, and I'll hem using 1 inch as an allowance, okay? You fold small in, about half an inch in, then you fold over again, okay? The normal way you hem the bottom of your clothes. So that's how I'm going to hem these. After hemming it, I'm going to close the sides. So I'm going to close the sides with 1 inch sewing allowance, okay? So I'll close this side. I'll close the sides with 1 inch sewing allowance. That's after hemming the bottom. So I'll go do that right now, and I'm going to serge it to. If you don't have a serger at home, you can sew then go and serge outside, or you can do French seam. If you've not watched my types of finishing video, I'll put it in the description box below. You go and watch that. It will help you in sewing ready to wear like this. Okay, so I'll go hem the bottom and sew the side seam with 1 inch sewing allowance. So guys, we are almost done. So after sewing the side seam, I've serged it, then I've turned the bottom, I've turned the hem of the pant or palazzo. So the next thing to do is to complete the waist. Okay, so remember we did 2.5 inches allowance for the elastic band. I'll be using 1 inch elastic band. So I'll be using 1 inch elastic band for this. Okay, so all you need to do is to take your tape rule, measure out 1/2 inch, you fold in, then measure out 2 inches and fold over. Okay, first 1/2 inch, you know we gave 2.5, so it's remaining 2. If you take out 1/2 inch, fold in, then the remaining 2 you fold it over. Okay, so you sew it round, then you leave about 2 to 3 inches at any side, any point, so that you can pass this elastic around. Okay, so this elastic, you can do your waist, you can subtract 5 inches from your waist and cut out your elastic, or 10 inches, depend on how the elastic is, the stretchiness of the elastic. Okay, so that is that for this trouser. When I do this, I'll show us the complete outfit on the mannequin. So thank you guys for staying with me till we meet again. My name is Bella. Please kindly share, subscribe, like, send it to your friends, your sewing buddies, groups. Okay, so let me complete this now and I'll show us what we have made on the mannequin. So guys, this is what we have after sewing. Okay, this is what we have. So the fullness of this palazzo depends on you and your fabric. Okay, if you like it this full, then go ahead. Okay, so to fix the band, kindly watch all my trouser videos, the kids trouser video, the adult short knicker video. It's well explanatory there. Okay, so till we see again, I remain your favorite online fashion tutor, Bella Royal. Bye.